Hello campers, I'm Lester. No, I am not a city, that's my name. If you're enjoying the music that you're hearing, that's good, because I was the one that made it. Check out my music on SoundCloud, if you feel like it. Shameless plug over. Without further delay, I'm here at gunpoint to introduce this week's Benny Shakes Things Up. Without further ado, here's Benny.
Hello.
Hello, Internet. Hello, Internet. Hello, Ram Comedy Festival.
Yes, we're on Ram Comedy Festival in Derby. I nearly forgot to press go live. Did you notice?
I didn't, because I ran away.
Right.
I did run away, and we're so professional here.
Yes, we are professional.
We are so professional.
This is season 2, episode 1, and we've got a fantastic comedian on tonight. She has been writing. She's been on Radio 5, Radio 4. She's done the Leicester Comedy Festival, and where's the one in Scotland, Kate? Edinburgh. That's it. We get that.
We'll get that.
And yeah, should we bring her on? Georgie Morrell. Hello.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure.
If you're watching, please comment, and you can always ask Georgie a question while we're going along. So, we start the questions off, Georgie, because it's a disability podcast. We always ask our guests, what is your disability?
I am visually impaired, Benny.
Right. And what does that mean for you?
It means since a young age, I've never had, not actually since I can remember, I've never had, fully functioning eyesight. I was born totally perfect, obviously. But when I was 3, I was actually diagnosed with an arthritis first, juvenile chronic arthritis.
Right.
And a sort of byproduct of that is it can affect your eyes. And I developed a condition called uveitis, and that led to secondary glaucoma. What that means is a lot of jargon for my eyes developed a lot of inflammation and got pressure build-up inside them. Glaucoma is pretty common, but in the elderly, not in 3-year-olds, little ones. And the arthritis is now stable with medication. I was treated very well and very quickly, but the eyes they went bananas. And I'm blind in my left eye, and my right eye has limitations of its sight, but it's pretty good considering. It did when I was 21. I couldn't see at all out of either eyes for nearly a year. I had some complications with the condition.
Right. Yeah, because I've seen you at Leicester Comedy Festival.
Ah, yes, I remember.
My friend Tommy never told me he was disabled until you did a disabled joke, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because you just flowed on stage, and it was amazing.
Oh, that's very kind, Benny. I also have one of these, what they call invisible disabilities, which I find a very odd phrase. It's like it's some sort of magic trick, or it sounds a bit X-Men-y. And also I always think does a disservice to the disability because it's invisible. Is it lesser or more of? It's not my favorite term, but if the shoe fits.
Yeah, because I don't know if this is true or not. You'll tell me if it's true, but blind and deaf are not disabilities. No.
It's a tricky one, and I think the way I tend to, I can't speak for the deaf community. I can't really speak for the blind community either. I can only say what I know. And I think I like what's behind that is that it's not a disability, that there isn't something wrong with you. You just have, and of course there isn't. You just, you have to adapt. But unfortunately, the world is a very visual world.
Yeah.
So at times I am on the back foot because of the way that the world is. So I can call it my superpower. I can be incredibly proud of it. But the reality is in day-to-day life, there are things that aren't set up for me and others like me. I just think that's a shame for the rest of the world because no one's immune to disability.
No.
It's not just because you think, well, that doesn't affect me. It's like, but it can. We're a minority group. You can easily come and join. And you don't know what life's going to throw at you. And I think people need to bear that a bit more in mind, especially when it comes to access.
Yeah, I think the social model of disability is really, really good on that, in that it suggests that it's the world around you that disables the individual rather than the individual impairment, which I think that's
totally the
that's
social
a really
model.
clever one.
It blew my mind when I found out what it was. I'm 34. I'll give my age away. So I grew up, although I had a great upbringing. My parents were banging. I was never, the word disability wasn't used. I was just Georgie. Her eyes are a bit like this, and that's part of who she is. And I think when I was really little, I just thought that everybody had something a bit wrong with them or a bit, squiffy. And then as I got older, I realized that wasn't the case. But because I think I'm that generation just a bit older, I adapted to suit society. So I hid it at times. I just got on with things to my detriment. I'm exhausted. I don't know. If I carry on another 34 years, I'll be amazed. And then when I found out the social model of disability, it just never occurred to me. Never occurred to me, which is sad. It really is.
It is. I mean, that is why we do Below the Bell, to get people thinking about different disabilities. So we will have comedians come on and do stuff with their bad hand or do stuff so they can understand how we cope every day. Because in my book, there's not enough disability awareness out there. I believe we're still in the 80s.
Oh, I feel like if anything, we've regressed a bit further than that. When I look at it sometimes, but there's people need to know sort of what we're up against every day, because some of the things that can't change. I get very fed up just with the constant onslaught of eye drops and prescriptions and doctor's appointments. That can weigh you down after a bit. It's tiring. It's time consuming. It's not how you want to spend your day, but you get on with it, and that's what you do. And then I just assumed that all the other stuff, I was like, well, like that, I've just got to do that. That's just the hand I've been dealt. And it's like, oh, actually, I don't. I could, we could just change a couple of tiny little things that most people wouldn't even notice, but would make us a little less exhausted all the time.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you're on TikTok, but I think TikTok is fantastic for disabled people, because every time I swipe, there's more disabled than abled, and it's like, yes, we're winning, but we're online, but we're doing something, right?
Yeah, it's getting people out there. But I do have strong opinions when it comes to representation. I do, in that respect, I feel like we've regressed. I feel like when I was growing up in the 90s and the early noughties, I saw better representation than I do now. And that's, which is throwing me off a bit across.
I feel like things like Paralympics and things like that, as fantastic as they are, people go, oh, we've got the Paralympics now, so everything's sorted.
Yeah, tick.
And they sort of go, well, we're sorted because we've got that and we like that and we'll keep that. And you go, yeah, but the rest of society, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. In the 80s and the 90s, I had 4 jobs on the go. I can't even get one job now. Well, I have got a little part-time job, but if I went to a big company and asked to do what I'm doing now, they would go, health and safety, no thank you. But it's crazy.
There's we've become a very risk-averse society in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to put that on like I hate the terms of wokeness and snowflake, because it's not that. It's across everybody. It's like, oh, we can't do that in case of this, or if we won't like that, and it's just like, how do you know unless you have a go? What's the worst that's going to happen as well?
Someone's not going to like it, and they'll move on.
That's it, and we'll all get over it. We've survived worse. I know I have.
Let's go on to, how did you get into comedy? Was it because you couldn't get a job and you thought, I'm funny, I'm going to make it as a comedian? Or
it was a little bit like that. Yeah, it wasn't dissimilar. I trained as an actor. I always wanted to go into the industry, and when I came out of drama school, I got a couple of parts in a few little fringe comedy things, and I smashed them. It was a delight to do them. They were great fun, and I got a taste for it then. I always harbored the idea to do stand-up, but it's very difficult. It takes a hell of an ego to do something when you can't see anyone like you doing it. So I didn't grow up. There were a few female comics who were banging female comics, Jo Brand, Victoria Wood, no small fries, incredible talent. But I didn't see one quite like me, and it just didn't seem that was something I could. So I trained as an actor, and I still act a bit now, but I got a bit fed up after a few years. I'm a bit of a control freak. Somebody else said this on Twitter who's disabled as well. It's talking about micromanaging somebody with a disability, and it's found it's quite common in the sense that it's having control over other things when you don't always have control over your body and a condition and what it's going to do. And that really hit the nail on the head for me. I was like, oh yeah, that's me. I want to know. I want to have a hold of it. In acting, you don't have control. And I got chatting to a mate, a very good friend of mine called Felix Trench, he didn't know about my eyesight. And I had a year when I was 21 where I didn't see hardly my right eye through a wobbly. And I told him about it, and he knew that I wanted to go into comedy and make some work. And he said, that's an interesting story to tell. And it just never occurred to me. I thought it was something that the world probably didn't want to know. Probably because I felt a little bit of shame around it as well.
Right.
And I developed it into a show, and then it got further and further, and it became a stand-up show. Went to Edinburgh, transferred to the Soho Theatre. I developed 2 more shows after that, and I was hooked. That was it. It made me incredibly happy, and I found a sort of place in the world doing comedy, and it's led to other things as well, all because I embraced the worst year in my life as something worth talking about.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I
do too. Yeah,
I think for me that's exactly the same. I've got a little part-time job, but nothing full-time, and my goal is I want to buy my mum and dad a bungalow. I put them through a lot growing up, being disabled. It's about time I gave back to the ones who loved me. So I saw Rosie Jones and other disabled people on YouTube doing it, and I'm like, if they can do it, why can't I? And that is how I became a comedian. So, what about you, Kate? Was it the same with you before we move on?
Sort of. I actually did drama. I went to drama school. Did not do an acting course. Just pointing that one out because I didn't get on the acting course mainly. Basically, I graduated around the time of the recession, and so there was nothing, no work, anything to do, and I spent a long time like no work for anything, and I kind of just left performing completely. Eventually, I read an article. It's genuinely true. It's in my bio. Saying in Glamour magazine, there was an article that said that that stand up gives you confidence, and I was like, that sounds really backward to everything I've heard, and I gave it a go, and I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think the same as you, Benny, seeing people with disabilities doing the same thing as well was really, really useful, because you're like, you can do it and you can talk about it. And also seeing like people's long Edinburgh shows as well, and seeing that you can talk how you make it last for an hour, because in my head I was going, I'm not interesting enough to like talk for more than 2 minutes, and it's like, okay, kind of interesting.
You've just brought up a good point there, confidence. Do you agree, Georgie, that comedy gives you that? Because I know when I've done my set, I go in that corner and I just watch everyone else conversation.
I don't know if it gave me confidence. My mum said this about me not long ago. She said, you were just born confident. So I just seem to fit in well to it. I'd say it sometimes chips at my confidence. Not every gig is an absolute, I don't always kill it. And there's some, there's a lot of clickiness in the industry and things like that. Things sometimes do it. But I think if you can, have a go at it and stand in front of a group of people like that, you're only going to get better. You're only going to get more confident. People always say that about stand, how do you do it? Is it not scary? And it's like, my eldest brother's a police officer. He had to work Southampton town centre this weekend. That shit is scary. So a bunch of people, worst happened, they don't like you. I stopped caring what people thought of me a long time ago.
Should we go to these comments, Kate?
Yeah, sure. I was going to say, so we got from Mark McKean. Evening. Society tries to shape the individual, therefore the individual would no longer exist. We need individuals disabled. And then he writes, society tries to shape the individual, which therefore eliminates individuals. We need individuals, be they disabled, abled, ill, or healthy, to get better understanding of everyone and everything. And then he writes, I only feel confident if the gig goes well. Well, thank you for that.
Fair, totally fair, Mark.
Fair point.
It is. Where are we? We've done that, and I've lost it. Hey ho. For have you got? So, over lockdown, have you had to Shield. Have you? Because everyone goes, mate, you've got cerebral palsy. You need to go in your house and don't come out till it's clear.
Yeah, until we say so. No, I didn't. It was up in the air whether I would. I am on an immunosuppressant. That's what stabilized my arthritis. So I've been on it a long time. And if I get things like a cold, I'm out. It hits me hard. So I've always been a bit of a germaphobe, even before the pandemic. And I'm always, sort of, I've tried to build up my immune system to cope with that. However, I didn't make the list of vulnerable, nor did I think I should. I didn't think that was medically the right way to go. And I'm glad I didn't, because I would have really struggled with that. I struggle with lockdown as much as anyone else. I'm not very good at doing what I'm told.
No.
I like to work it out myself, even if it's going about it the hard way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have responded to it well. I did find, though, and sorry if it's going off topic, but I struggled with a lot of my.
No, it's your night.
A lot of my hospital appointments got put back, and I found that hard to cope with.
Right.
I have 6 monthly checks on my eyes, and without those, I sort of had adapted to them, and that sort of kept me on the right side of coping with it well. And so I was like, I'd have my check, and then they'd be like, "Yep, everything's stable." I'm like, "Cool." I get on with things, and I don't have to worry about it. And then as it builds up to the next checkup, and then they're just getting put back and back and back. And it's more fields that I'm treated at in London, and they were terrific. They found a way to get me seen when I could, but it was everything was put back, and I found that difficult. And I don't think people always appreciate what that means to a person's mental health when they're managing a disability. And it's weird what will keep you going. And I was surprised at myself as well.
Yeah, because I think we touched on this last week, doctor's appointment and having the right network around you. But over lockdown, it's all gone.
Yeah,
it's driving buddies who I used to gig for that nowhere to be seen. Okay, I could have made a bit more of an effort, but it's that situation. Why should I when they're not? Do you know what I mean? Have you kept your network going, or have you lost?
We sort of didn't. The first lockdown, we all kept in touch and sort of tried. But when that winter lockdown hit, I think I speak for a lot of people. When there's nothing left to say to each other anymore.
Yeah.
We just sort of shut down completely. Yeah. More than before. I mean, at first, the first lockdown, the weather was nice. It was all a bit, this is different. I'm drinking the day. I'm getting furloughed or self-employment grants and things for nothing. And then, but that winter lockdown, when all our Christmases got cancelled and things, you're just like, oh, I've had enough. This is too much. And I felt I didn't keep in contact with as many people as I should have. But yeah, there was just nothing left to say anymore.
No, I think. It's surprising that when the first lockdown happened, I spoke to a good friend of ours who's a co-host, Mark Burkwood, said, we need to do something about a group to support young disabled comedians who are just starting, but who's going to be on their own. And we started a network where we have a Zoom every fortnight, and we've kept that going for a year and a month now, haven't we, Kate? So
I don't know. I didn't come in at the start of that, so
no, you.
No, I started a bit later, but it's been really impressive. That.
So it's hard keeping that connection because not everyone wants to do Zoom 24/7, do they?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, I didn't love Zoom. I found it quite hard going. I'm a bit of I'm not great technically anyway.
Right.
And it can just be a bit much. And I also didn't like as well, it felt like anyone could sort of get in touch with you as well. I like my privacy. I like to be able to step away from things. But because we've all got internet and a computer, it's like, oh, you can just jump on Zoom. It's like, oh, but I don't want to.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
Before we go on to anything else, Jamie has just come in at the right time. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Jamie helps produce Below the Belt, which is a disability game show. But on there, we have Jamie's Gaming. And Jamie is an AAC user, and he uses symbols to communicate. And I just thought we could play a game with you, Georgie.
Always.
It's guess what Jamie is saying with symbols.
Okay.
So, what is Jamie saying? Let me get rid of that. Yeah. What is he saying?
My God, this is hard.
I was going to say, you could have given an easier one.
All right.
Do you know what? When you said symbols, I had in my head for some reason the symbols, on the musical symbol.
Yeah. No,
and I was like, I've got a what?
No, it's him. He uses a communication aid, and these are symbols.
Right. Okay, I'm following now.
Sorry.
Quiet as that's what quiet as a lamb.
Oh, nearly. This
Nearly.
One. It's a film.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I should be good with films.
We give you this one because everyone should still do this, but they're not. Trust me, they're not.
That's your clue, Benny?
Yeah.
They should be doing it, but they're not.
They should be doing it, but they're not. We've been drummed into this every day.
I think that this saying came
Hands,
to be...
face.
Yay! Yeah,
I like this now. I've got a taste for this.
For me, this came way too late.
We'll give you the hard one now.
Give the hard one now you got.
Give the hard one. It's
Can I have a clue?
Right. Over lockdown, he said you could go somewhere once a day.
That's not helpful, Benny.
I was going to say, Benny, I was just like,
Go in lockdown. We could go what, to the shops for a walk, exercise.
Yes, exercise, but
right.
It's saying something. Yeah, I'll give you the first one. It's
Is it? What is it, like a saying or?
No, it's a sentence.
Just a sentence.
So Boris Johnson said we was allowed to go for exercise one day every day. So where did you could go for
I've absolutely no idea.
Go for a walk.
I
think I'm making this harder than it has to be.
Yeah.
No, that one was like, how is that going?
Yeah.
Is my question.
Right.
I want to do another. I'm addicted. I'm hooked now.
Oh no! I've gone. Hang on.
You've got one.
I tell you what, oh yes, we have. Sorry, go on. I'm sorry I blocked your face. Now it's a summer. Where are we allowed to go?
I was going to say the last one is incredibly confusing.
Is it someone at school or studying or working?
No, it's across. So
They're not working.
So they're not working. We're not allowed. I don't know. Can we just do film ones?
I am on holiday.
I was thinking holiday, and I just said holiday.
No,
Holiday is not what isn't described as holiday. It's described as not working.
I was thinking holiday. Oh, just trust myself.
We will give you that one.
I don't think you should, but
right, okay.
That's very generous, Benny.
We've done this one. No, I don't think we have. Over lockdown, have you suffered because of the virus? Now, you've lost your income, but did you adapt or?
No, I did a few online gigs, and I had a writing project that I had to finish, so that kept me busy. But no, my income took a battering. 2 weeks before that lockdown, I did 7 gigs in 1 week up and down the country. I was booking up, headline spots, paid middles, all sorts of amazing gigs, and I just had to cross through it. And it wasn't until I got back gigging, did my first gig last week, where I was just like, oh yeah, that hurt. I had to kiss a load of profit goodbye, but I was progressing nicely and where I wanted to be. And when it happened, I had a strop for half an hour and then got on with it because people were suffering much worse. I'd say where I did run into difficulty was when the day of lockdown, we were moving my parents out of our family home, and we had half of the stuff moved and we were just waiting for the other half to go. And with the lockdown rules said, if you're halfway doing something, you can still do it. Yeah. So we had the upset of leaving a family home, and then the lockdown was announced, and then I got kidney stones and was rushed to A&E.
Oh, no.
So went into it, and I couldn't see my boyfriend for what was nearly 3 months as well. So that was pretty tough. There was all these things that took their toll. The kidney stones, that was just ridiculous. When I was in A&E in agony, and they're like, yeah, it's kidney stones. I'm just like, oh, pull the other one. That's, it all happens in threes, doesn't it? And then it was things like, and then in the summer of that lockdown, my dad got a cancer diagnosis. I'm happy to say he's fine. It was prostate cancer. He had the prostate out, and we're glad to see the back of it. So that hurt because then I couldn't be with him for a while. It was those things that were tricky. But financially, yeah, I made a loss. The only people who have profited is what? Amazon, people who make anti-bac, and Matt Hancock. So
yeah, it was crazy when everyone. Well, I haven't seen my family since last August.
Oh, God,
I've seen them on FaceTime, but I still haven't had me Christmas presents. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, I made my mum and dad. We met outside when we were allowed in March, and I was like, "Bring my Christmas presents. It's all I want. My Christmas presents." Screw you too. Have you guys had your vaccines yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Which one have you had?
I've had my first dose of AstraZeneca, and I've got my second dose on Sunday.
you've got the superpower then.
Yes, the superpower of blood clots.
Yeah. We got
Um,
the Oxford one. So.
Which is the same one.
That's the same one.
It's the same one.
You're like, no.
You're not better than me, Benny. I got the Oxford one. No, I got
the Pfizer one doesn't get ever called biotech, but the Oxford AstraZeneca one sometimes gets called one or the other, and it's just quite weird. It's like, which one?
I think the government did that deliberately because it was made in England. It was sort of like, yes, we're very, very British. It's like, all right, well done us. I've got my second one on Sunday, thank God.
So you didn't do what me and Kate did, go on the NHS website and go, actually, we have got cerebral palsy, so can we have it now?
I was bumped up the queue for being on immunosuppressants, so I was first chance in there. Yeah. And I was like, hello, I've earned this. Yeah. Gimme. Yeah. And I skipped to get it done, and I skipped back, and then I had a few side effects for a day, which burst my bubble a little bit. Yeah, it hit me quite hard.
But that is the thing, again, over lockdown, a lot of scaremongering in the disabled community when they were going, I've had this letter about I won't, if I go into hospital, the government will take control of me, and if they think I'm not worth saving, they're going to write a DNR on. Did you hear about that, Georgie?
No. What the?
Yeah.
This was a big scam. You made it into a couple of papers. Kind of like I think for the once I think the papers were trying not to scare people. In that they kind of put it in the back somewhere. But it was genuinely like that there were a number of concerns that if the NHS, I mean, they were really overwhelmed, but if they became overwhelmed to the point of, collapse, which they very nearly were, but the suggestion was that some people were going to get DNRs based on disability.
Jesus wept.
Yeah.
That passed me by. The scaremongering in general winds me up something chronic. The press don't help at sometimes publishing stories. That's great to know they were getting it right for once, but they will focus on the stories, and it's like that's not what we should be focusing on. Don't keep banging on you guys obviously aren't anti-vax, but giving, I think, too much press to those who are anti-vax is counterintuitive. Because you're making something that really isn't there, because there's not much evidence to back up any of their arguments. And the compulsoriness of vaccines and things, making stories that just weren't there was very unhelpful, and still continuing to do it. I could probably look at, one of the news sites now and find at least two.
Oh, yeah, we've got a friend who says if he went into hospital because of his condition, they will put him down as he's like a 80-year-old. So he's not worth saving when he's younger than. Is he younger? I don't know. He's in our age group. And it's like, that can't be right. Come on.
That sounds like it was, I felt how the shielding was dealt with anyway wasn't great. Yeah. No. Just stay in and shut up was pretty much it. And it was like, the fuck, man, what's this based in? And it sounds like it was probably that scaremongering was put out to try and encourage disabled people to not get ill. I mean, fuck, man. Yeah. Seeing her take up a hospital bed.
I never got a letter or nothing. Did you get a letter saying you can shield, here's a food parcel?
No.
It's crazy. It's stupid. What time are we on? Do you want to do your important
My
question?
important journalistic question
Yes.
that is
Go
so
for it.
important, and it's gonna be. I mean, it's a bit of a gear shift, if I'm honest. It's completely shifting the gear,
Yeah.
but I think it's one of the most important questions you will be asked today, if not this week.
Okay.
Which is, what is your favourite biscuit?
Party ring.
Oh, yes.
I've said
That
it now, it's out.
is a strong choice. No one has said party ring yet, to my knowledge. And yes,
Because no one is a 6-year-old.
I mean, I totally, for my birthday a few years ago, got party rings specifically because it's my birthday and I can have whatever I like.
They are. I look for in a biscuit is lightness. I don't like anything too heavy. And a party ring is just pure sugar, and it's got a melty in the mouthy. It's got icing as well. Sucker for icing.
It's a bit too sugary nowadays.
It's a bit what?
I had one last year and I thought it was like pure sugar. It was a bit too sweet.
I don't know what to say to that, Benny, other than we can't be mates anymore. That's it.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, I think a party ring. Yeah,
Mm.
I'll stand by that. You could convince me of others. I mean,
Oh, Suzanne.
Susanna says, I'm literally eating party rings as we speak.
Yeah.
I mean, Susanna's living her best life there.
Yeah. Save me one for Friday.
I'm gonna say this though, Kate.
Yeah.
I'm not a big biscuit woman anyway.
That's fine. That's fine. I've had some people go, do I have to? I'm like, well, they could. I was like, I think somebody genuinely chose like a cracker because they were like so mortified at the idea. They're like,
Yeah,
can I have a water biscuit? I was like, if you must.
A water biscuit, oh dear. That's a sad life when you choose a water biscuit, isn't it?
It's a tiny little thin cracker.
I think I'd rather something else over a biscuit. But if I had my way, I'd eat red meat just every damn day.
Yeah.
Screw the planet.
Before we go on to promoting yourself, I think we were saying this before we went live. Going back out, are you getting gigs or is it like everything you're gonna wait until the storm has passed and then go forward?
I did say initially I was going to wait for the storm to pass, and then I got booked for one that was that got cancelled last year, and then sort of got a bit of a taste for it. So I've been booking up a few, but the effort I've made isn't great. I've sent off a few emails and got a few things booked in, but I need to really give it some. But the reality is everybody is trying to get gigs and spots at the moment. It would be more sensible just to hang on a little while longer, but I like to be busy, you know.
Yeah.
I want it. Also, I've had a year of not getting like any kicks. Do you know what I mean? There's been, no partying, no mischief, no anything. And a lot of where I would get my thrills and spills is from gigging. So I really need to, scratch that itch, so to speak.
So what would you say to a young or a mature disabled person who's listening and going, well, I might have a go? What would you say to them? Advice, sorry.
Advice.
Yeah.
God, that's a tricky one, Benny.
Yeah, it is.
I would say I'd firstly be quite honest about the industry. It's tough.
It is tough.
And my advice would be is when it stops feeling, if it doesn't feel fun, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Because If it feels stressful, if it feels a lot of pressure, if it's just too much, then stop and have a think and maybe come back to it at a later date, because I've had that a few times. I've just been going out and then I haven't been enjoying it. It's like, So I've stepped away, had a look at sort of, you know, my material and other things and that, and then gone back to it. And another bit of advice is don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Don't worry about what anyone else's opinion or if they care. Don't worry about it, because you could, you know, die on stage one night and you're analysing that. You could kill it the next night and then you're analysing that. Just don't worry about it. You know, you do it for you. Life's too short.
It's your journey, because I know blokes who have in my year of comedy where they've gone up higher than me, and I'm like, that don't make sense. But a wise woman told me, it's your journey.
Yeah,
You
that's
make
it.
how you want it. If you want to go up, start emailing every promoter under the sun.
And just keep at it as well. Your time will come. You've just got to plug at it and wait. You know, you'd never. If anyone told me this was the journey I thought I would go on to get here, very different to the reality. You know, you don't get what you want, you get what you need. I'd also say as well, in terms of advice, is don't put up with any bullshit or anything you're uncomfortable with in the industry. If somebody is rude to you, if somebody is unprofessional, if someone is bitchy or cliquey, don't settle for that. Set some standards for yourself, because the more that we do that as individuals in the industry, the whole industry will bring it up a gear.
Have you had any issues with promoters coming on strong or going, I'm not going to book you because of your disability? Or
no, I've never had any direct issues with a promoter related to my disability or my gender that I know of. They might have got an email from me saying, you know, can you book me, please? And they've got a woman. No. And I don't know that. That might be the case, but I can't say hand on heart. I've dealt with rudeness, and I don't care for that because it's just unnecessary.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
they're more scared of me anyway, Benny.
Yeah, well, when I met you, you've got that attitude where I don't fucking care no more. It's life, it's my journey, and if you don't want to get on the Georgie train, fuck off.
Do you know, I need you to say that to me every now and again to remind myself. I don't always take my own advice or example, but I'm trying to be better at that.
This is the thing, I think that's why I'm doing these podcasts. When I shut this down, I am not like this when I'm sat in that chair. I'm analysing things, I'm worrying about. There's another side of Benny that you guys don't see.
Absolutely, I do the same. I'm deeply sensitive. I tortured myself for about a day after a gig because a comedian said one thing and I took it personally. And thankfully, I have a very supportive partner, and I spoke to him about it, and he was like, I don't think he meant anything by it, to be honest. It sounds like it was just his insecurity. And I sort of went, oh, I didn't think of it like that. And then carried on, bounding on with things. I'm a big softie underneath it all.
Yeah. So you've got several gigs coming up.
Yeah.
Sent me a poster of one. Is this online or is it in reality?
That one is online.
Right. So everyone can. There's no excuse, guys.
There's no, you can't say, oh, I can't get that. You can. If you're watching this, you have internet, so you can go.
If you've got £5 or £10, click on the link above and get your tickets. So I will pull it up. And do you want to explain what it's about, Georgie?
What, the gig?
Yeah.
It's an online gig. It is me, Richard Stott, Variety D, and of course Lost Voice Guy.
Voice Guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's like our leader. And we are comedy and cocktail. So and we were asked to come up with a cocktail for it.
Right.
Like if we had our own one. And I think I came up with, I sometimes have a gin and bitter lemon.
Right.
But I said to Susanna, who's putting it together, I said, I don't think it's a cocktail. That's just a cry for help. And she said, oh, that's what we should call it. So that's what we'll be doing, is drinking cries for help and doing comedy. And yes, it's all online.
Yeah, that's
and it's for charity as well. I'm not very good at promoting these things.
Do you know what charity is for?
Pathfinders Neuromuscular Alliance fundraiser. Yeah, I cannot say that 3 times fast.
But you are part of several charities, aren't you?
I am, Benny. I do that to make up for bad things I did in the past.
Do you just want to give them a shout out?
Always. I'm an ambassador for the Royal Society of Blind Children. I know, right? Yeah. And I work with the RNIB as well, the Royal National Institute for Blind People. I do a radio show on their radio station, RNIB Connect. It is on every Monday. It's called Sounds of the Silver Screen. I present it, and it is music from the movies. And radio presenting is hard. It's a new venture for me, one I'm thoroughly enjoying, but they make it sound so easy, and it isn't.
It's not.
It is a real art.
Yeah, I've got 7 questions on my list. Mm-hmm. And we went through 7 questions at 35 minutes ago. So it's like, oh God, questions. So it's not easy. Is there anything else you've got going on?
Probably. I'm just writing a lot. That doesn't concern anyone else. That's just sort of down to me.
Do you do for anyone out there who's getting not semi-pro but getting to that point? Do you write for comedians, like jokes?
I haven't as yet, but it is something I would consider. I think I would be more keen to do it when I have gotten back into stand up a little bit and got a grasp over my what's the word I'm looking for? Buffed up my skills a bit and got my head back into it. But I'm always happy to advise and look over stuff for people and point them in the right direction. I do workshopping more than actual writing jokes for people. I do quite a bit of that with stand-up, which is good fun, and I've got some bits and bobs coming up. I did a bit online as well, helping people find their voices, things like that.
Cool. And one more question before we go. If you was president, prime minister, what would you change and why?
I would make myself queen of the world and that you all had to worship me. I'd make a terrible prime minister or president. It would go horribly wrong. It would turn into a dictatorship. And it would all be, you do as I say and everything that I like. So, there'd be kittens everywhere, really. They'd replace pigeons as the sort of main animal in London. It would just be, I'd book all the gigs that I wanted for me. I would be generally a horrible, selfish dictator.
Cool.
All right, one nice thing. I would. There's two things in the world that, when you get angry at something and you just see red, you just cannot. You just go 0 to 60 and lose your shit.
Yeah.
For me, those two things are littering and cruelty to animals.
Yeah.
So those things, I would change the laws so that it just cannot happen, because I just cannot abide it. There's just no excuse. I just think animals are better than us and they will save us in the long run. And littering, grow up. You know what I mean? Get a life.
I would just get rid of stairs. Every bungalow and ramps.
I would see that the guide dogs get more money as well, and more cuddles.
Yeah.
I watched the Great British Menu. I've no idea why. I can't cook for toffee, and one of the guys in it he won the dessert, and it was made in honor of the people who came up with using guide dogs using dogs as assistance dogs. And I just loved it. They're just so clever.
They are. I do like Nick, my carer, but if I could train a dog to tell me when I needed my medicine, I would have a dog.
I know, right?
So yeah, happy days. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Don't go away. I'm just gonna end the show if I can remember how.
Thank you for having me. Oh yeah.
You can find more about Georgie on her website as well. So check that out. I think you put your gigs on there as well, don't you?
I do, but I've actually just written down on a post-it to update my website tomorrow. I'm a little bit behind on the admin.
Well, thank you for coming. I'm gonna end the show. Have I remembered everything?
You've remembered everything, Benny. You just need to say bye to the internet.
Bye, internet.
Bye, Round Comedy Festival. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that's all we have time for tonight from Benny and the gang. Please remember to subscribe and click on the bell for more notifications on the next instalment of Benny Shakes Things Up. If you want to support the podcast, or you like the jingle from Leicester in Nottingham, please click on the links below. Adios, amigos.